People are probably not on their phones or don't care what I'm doing. That's okay. It'll be there for you guys whenever you're ready to watch it, right? Okay, well then what I'm going to talk about is the moon in Scorpio today. But really, I mean, today is significant, but tomorrow may be even more so. And then we're leading into the full moon in Capricorn. So today the moon is in Scorpio. And I think the most special thing about the moon in Scorpio today is that generally speaking, the moon doesn't like to be in Scorpio. So the moon in Scorpio can be about power struggles. It can also be about boundaries with moon in Scorpio. And sometimes Scorpio is linked to sexuality, but I think that is just a smaller part of the boundaries and power struggles that we deal with Scorpio. So Scorpio is a water sign, but it is a fixed water sign. So think swamp or lake, so it kind of holds all that emotion. So with the moon in Scorpio, it just doesn't, really like to be there. It's actually opposite sign Taurus is where it does like to be when it's not at home in Cancer. So Scorpios, that doesn't mean every Scorpio moon has problems or anything like that if it's in your nativity. But whenever the moon is in Scorpio during a transit, we can get deep into our emotions, dig down deep into empowerment, disempowerment. But it's interesting that the moon in Scorpio this time will have some connections that are actually really good. So the moon is going to trine Saturn later on. I want to say later on today. Let me look exactly. Yeah, by about dinner time. So I think around 5 p.m. Central, the moon will trine Saturn. At the same time, it will trine the sun in Cancer. Trines are easy flowing aspects in astrology. So when we're talking about the moon in Scorpio, which is looking deep right into what drives us pretty much, the emotions we hold on to. And it's in a supportive aspect with Saturn, which is foundational. Saturn's in Pisces, a water sign. So think intuition. I think of gut feelings when I think of this transit. And then the moon trine the sun in Cancer, which is flowing waters of emotion, right? Sometimes sensitivity, but it's about nurturing and care. And again, intuition. All water signs are linked with this emotional, intuitive component. So it does seem foundational, but then there's another thing going on, and that is Jupiter in Taurus is in a sextile with both the sun and Saturn. So sextiles are also good. They're opportunity is the way we look at it in astrology. So it's also going to be opposite the moon in Scorpio. This is making a kite pattern. And kites are always looked at as very fortunate. The tip of the kite, actually, let me show you. See if I can turn this around here. There we go. There's the kite. So you can see the moon over here in Scorpio at 6 degrees. The sun over here in Cancer at 6 degrees. Saturn at 7 degrees. And then Jupiter at 8 degrees here, making this really nice little kite, okay? So that kite is looked at as a very fortunate moment. And it is brief, it's tonight. But pay attention to what might come to you. I didn't even talk about what Jupiter is representing right now. In Taurus, Taurus is linked with assets, our values, sometimes literal material gain is a Taurus thing. Fertility, and I'm not talking about just like... as far as like progeny with babies and things, but I'm talking about the fertileness of the earth, of growing things, of growing your own self-worth, plans you may have. That is all wrapped up in today, especially this evening and afternoon. So pay attention to what comes through. I mean, a text. Pay attention to a social media post, whatever it is. Use your intuition, your gut. It's foundational. It's fortunate. It's really good. It's also probably very good for clearing some things. The moon in Scorpio really has to deal with some hard topics sometimes, especially those of, when we've been disempowered or our boundaries have been crossed. But the fact that it trines Saturn in Pisces really does encourage this washing away, this letting go, this ending. So there could be an ending that actually is fortunate for you during this period of time. Again, it's brief, it's just today. However, there is something happening Friday called a Mercury cazimi, and that is when Mercury is with the sun, and it will sextile Jupiter, trine Saturn. Now the moon won't be involved. But this is also very fortunate, and Mercury is our minds. It's in a watery sign of Cancer, which is our intuition, self-care, how we nurture our emotional needs. So Mercury, our mind is on that, and really connected to this greater, web of consciousness with Saturn in Pisces. So that's pretty exciting. And I'm looking forward to Friday. Friday is my band's album release party, so hopefully it'll be lucky. But in between, we're talking about Thursday. That's tomorrow. There's one other thing that I have to touch on. And that is the moon squaring Mars and Venus and opposing Uranus. Again, tomorrow around dinner time. So this is like, we have this very kind of fortunate intuitive day today, and then tomorrow, Friday is the same, but Thursday we could get insight into the fixed sign squares and what those are meaning right now. So around dinner time, the moon will square Mars in Leo and Venus in Leo, which are traveling together, and the moon will oppose Uranus. Uranus is freedom, it's rebellion, it's sometimes upheaval, innovation. It can represent things that come out of the blue. Venus and Mars are obviously the malefic and the benefic that are in the sky together right now. Now, Mars can represent masculine energy, and Venus can represent feminine energy. There's a whole thing with that being a binary in astrology, a discussion about that. But let's just say for simpleness that Venus is a benefic feminine energy about what you receive. Mars is a malefic sometimes, but sometimes malefics are needed, right? We have to take action on things. So they're traveling together, but they're square Uranus, which is innovation, upheaval, rebellion, freedom. Okay, so then that means Thursday we could have a moment where we feel like we need to break free, change something, and it comes from the Scorpio part of ourselves, which is really deep. We like to hide it. Scorpio represents secrets. It's all of the things we push down in our emotional body that we don't want to deal with. Maybe someone's been taking advantage of you, or there is a situation in which you're feeling disempowered. So tomorrow evening, that comes to the forefront. And then the square to Mars and Venus, we may take action on it. Hopefully with Venus being there, it'll be good. And yes, we should have an underground freedom party. That's Friday. That's the very good transit. And that's the Mercury cazimi. That's sextile Jupiter and trine Saturn. So the going into the weekend is really interesting. We have this really nice day today. Tomorrow may be a moment where we have to change something, break free, deal with some things that we've been pushing down. And then Friday is great again, where we have this intuitive insight that's foundational and really great. Now Saturday's the recovery day. Saturday is the moon square Neptune. So that could be a little bit spacey. It does trine Mars and Venus on Saturday, so that could be pretty nice. But, the square to Neptune can be it's just definitely recovery day. I'm going to drive down to the beach where the ocean is trying to kill everyone right now on the Gulf Coast. So hopefully that won't bode too poorly for my trip. And then we got July 3rd. That's a full moon in Capricorn. This full moon in Capricorn, also very auspicious. It's trine to Jupiter. And it's actually applying to a trine with Uranus at the time. So the moon will trine Uranus. So really when we get into Monday, this full moon energy, success, laying foundations for abundance, for greater self-worth. That's really what the full moon is about. Capricorn represents achievement, structure, and the trine to Jupiter is really expansive and good and rooted in finding the truth of what means the most to you. So yeah, that's leading you up to the full moon. I did a new moon video on YouTube you can check out that talks about the new moon through the rising signs. I will do another full moon video through the rising signs sometime around July 3rd, around the full moon in Capricorn. But I do think, before we get there, I did want everyone to know about the auspicious transits happening today and Friday. And they build on each other until the full moon, which is also very auspicious. So take advantage. Maybe the hiccup of Venus square Uranus on Thursday and Friday, actually going into Saturday, is really the Venus square to Uranus. Won't be too based in upheaval for everyone. It's a change that needs to happen, and that's actually the only tense aspect happening in the sky right now, is the square to Uranus from Leo. So we have all of these really nice flowing trines, which are great, but they can get you stuck when everything's working, right? When everything is connecting and everything's just moving forward, you can kind of get stuck in that flow. So squares can oftentimes move things forward that wouldn't have been moved forward otherwise. So going into the weekend, be aware that there is on the table a possibility for you to maybe rebrand. That's a really big thing people are talking about with Venus in Leo, especially about to go retrograde, squared to Uranus. So rebranding, rethinking your future goals, considering what values in your life have changed or how those have been tweaked. The last Venus retrograde in Leo would have been 2005, 2015 and 2005 before that. 2007. It's every 8 years. So 07, 15, and now. So those are some dates for you to look at to review maybe what was going on in your life. Venus retrograde in Leo is really about how you show up creatively, how people see you. So the square to Uranus and Taurus, which is a change in values, perhaps a change in monetary situation, encourages us to maybe, okay, I've got to be seen more in order to advance my position, or in order to grow my self-worth or grow my money, whatever the case may be. There is a sense that we need to do something different creatively during this retrograde. And I think the weekend of the 4th of July right before can bring that out. But remember, it's coupled with all these really great transits around there. So it's like we've got the support and the tension to move forward. This is a really great time, probably one of the better times of the year. So take advantage of it. Okay, I guess I'm done rambling. I was just, wanted to update everyone. There's the chart for, there's Venus square Uranus. There's that square, boop, right there. That's the only red line. The rest, oh, look at these nice blue flowing trine lines. Oh, look at that. So yeah, the only other red line we get is Thursday night. So keep that on your calendar. Thursday night, Saturday. There's your two red lines that are really, really important going through the weekend. All right, guys, I'm gonna be done. I'll see y'all soon. If you're in Birmingham, come to my band's album release party Friday for the Mercury Kazemi. All right, I'll see you then.